Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another Lakehead Live. Today I'm joined by Michelle from Residence and Patrick, who is an international recruiter. I'll do a little introduction and we'll talk about what we're going to do throughout the webinar today. If you do have any questions, of course, use the Q&A function or the chat, and we will get to those. My name is Jordan. I am an international new and social media officer. Michelle Denton here is a residence area coordinator, and Patrick Carr is an international recruitment officer. So today we'll be talking about housing and residence on campus. As we phrase it, it is your new home away from home or your second home. So things to remember throughout the webinar. If you like what you see, don't worry, we'll be sending you a link to a recorded version after. So if we don't get to your question, or if you still have more questions or just want to watch it again to learn more, you'll get that link after the webinar is finished. If you do have questions throughout the webinar, use the Q&A function to submit those to us. We'll have dedicated question and answer periods as well. Throughout our team behind the scenes, we'll be answering questions on chat. And the last point here is to stay connected with us. Follow us on our social media channels. Most of them are Lakehead University International. We do have all the handles at the end of the slides, but it will give you updates about future webinars, and you'll also get a sneak peek or a behind the scenes look at life at Lakehead University from the student perspective, as well as just important information as it pertains to your application to Lakehead. So what will you learn today? What will we be covering? We'll talk about the benefits of residence and living on campus. We'll talk about the different on-campus options at one of our campuses. So we have Thunder Bay and Orillia, as well as our Lakehead Georgian partnership in Barrie. We'll talk about meal plans at all three of the campuses, the cost for those meal plans, and living in residence. And then Michelle is definitely going to go into detail about residence life and all the fun activities that our residence team here plans to keep things exciting and keep our students involved. And then we'll talk about living off campus in each of our cities. So I'll pass it off to Patrick, and he's going to talk about the benefits of living on campus.
Yeah, so good morning, everyone. The benefits of living on campus, the first thing is that it's convenient. When you live on campus, you're maybe minutes away from your classrooms, the cafeteria, and all of the different student service centers on campus, things like the gym and the library. So it's a very convenient place to live, and it's safe, and your commute is nice and simple in the mornings. Residence is a great way to meet new friends, which is really important when you're starting this next chapter in your life. You'll build lifelong friendships and connections that will last pretty much your entire life. And there are lots of leadership opportunities in residence. We're going to talk about some of those later on in the presentation, I think. And like I mentioned, residence is safe and it's secure. So on campus, whether it's in Thunder Bay, Orillia, or Barrie, there's security on site, and there's always RAs on call. And we'll talk about what an RA is later on.
Awesome. So we'll actually get started right off the bat with a poll. The poll will come up on your screen in just a minute. So I'll phrase the question: what campus do you plan on attending? So again, we have the Thunder Bay, Orillia, or Lakehead Georgian and Barrie. So you should be able to see that poll any minute now. Go ahead and vote. Let us know. That will give us a good idea of which campus that we should focus on maybe in this presentation, or give you a bit more details about. Of course, there will be another poll later on in the presentation.
So 5 votes so far for Thunder Bay.
Wow.
It's exciting. Give it another second here before we close it.
So we have a few more votes rolling in.
Lakehead
Another one
Georgian.
from Lakehead Georgian and Barrie. While you guys are voting, maybe I'll pass it off to either one of you to chat a little bit about Lakehead University and maybe residence.
Yeah, so Lakehead University, as I'm sure all of you tuning in, is a university. We're in Thunder Bay and Orillia and Barrie, Ontario, Canada. We're one of Canada's top-ranked undergraduate universities, which is pretty exciting. And we're a really great community, which I think is one of the things we hope you take away from our discussions about residence, because residence is more than a place to live. It's also your community you're moving into.
Yeah, we're going to really talk about the opportunities when you get into residence, but starting the day you move onto campus, we start making this really your home away from home, and you start feeling connected right on day one.
Alrighty, so now you can actually see the results on your screen. So we did have 6 votes in Thunder Bay, 1 for Orillia, and 1 for Lakehead, Georgian, and Barrie.
Awesome.
So we do have a split difference there. Plenty of you looks like you were planning on attending Thunder Bay, of course. So we'll definitely make sure to highlight some of the stuff in Thunder Bay. But we do have some of you joining and looking at Orillia and Lakehead, Georgian, so we'll make sure to cover it all.
Sounds great.
We'll move on to the next slide, though. And this is where I will pass it off to Michelle to speak about Thunder Bay residents.
Awesome. So we're going to start off by looking at what our residence rooms actually look like. So for our Bartley residence, which is our res halls and our dormitory style, we have two room options. So you can see on your screen that there is a single and a basic single. We don't have any shared rooms. There are no roommates. So you have your own personal room. The difference is size, and you'll see the single room has 2 closets attached to it. And I think we're going to go into in the slides coming up what actually is included in these rooms as well. So like I said, this photo that we're looking at is actually our single room. So all of our main furniture is provided. Our goal with residents is for you to move into a room that is fully furnished, ready for you to live in, and you're going to bring your personal touches to really make it feel like home. So we provide all of the furniture for you, the bed, the desk, and you can see the list in front of you. You'll just bring your posters and you're going to decorate it to make it feel like yours. It is important to note that all of our rooms, no matter what size, has a mini fridge in it. We have wireless internet, but you are also able to hook up through an Ethernet cable, which we will provide for you. And if you wish to bring a television to your room, you can also connect to cable television, which is also included in your room rate, and we provide that cable box for you.
Another thing to note here is that each of our rooms has a telephone, actually.
Mm-hmm.
So if you did want to give a shout home to your family, call another friend, you can always do that. I know with the times, typically students get their own cell phones and use different messaging apps, Facebook Messenger, WhatsApp, WeChat, all that. But it's always good to have a good old-fashioned phone call with a family or friend. So those are included in the rooms.
And if you don't have a cell phone plan here in Canada yet, we do have free local calling on your room phone. So you don't have to worry. You can call another room right directly or another Thunder Bay number free of cost. And then if you're calling internationally and you also don't have your cell phone plan for Canada connected yet, we have calling cards at Bartley Front that you can purchase. So lots of options, just like Jordan said. And this is for the Thunder Bay campus. So just another great view, you'll see all of our rooms in our Bartley residence, which is our main residence for first year students or students new to Lakehead in our dormitory style, have this beautiful window with a large desk. This is our bigger or more spacious of the 2 options. So it is our Bartley single, but again, everything you see that is furniture is provided for you. In addition to our room sizes or our rooms, we have a study room as well as a lounge. So I think we should talk a little bit about the structure of the house. We kind of jumped a little bit past that first picture. But if you saw when it said coming to residence and it had Bartley residence sign. So Bartley residence is structured as individual, we call them houses. So they're 3-floored buildings that have 30 students and 2 Res Life staff. And we'll talk about what Res Life staff is coming up. Living in your house. So you are already making connections with 29 other first year students that are in the same position as you. And then in addition to your room, we have a lounge and a study room that is you're able to access 24/7. The picture in front of you is our study room for you to access. This is a great space that's additional to your room if you want to do group studies, if you want to have a place to play cards or board games, and there also is wireless internet in this space as well. I don't believe we have a picture of the lounge coming up, but we can talk about it a little bit. It is a wonderful space as well. It is located on the 2nd floor of your house. and it has a TV provided for you with a wonderful cable package. We do great programming in there. Some of the houses just had your semester wrap up pizza parties. And we do a lot of programs that are provided for you. We're going to talk about Res Life, but these are 2 additional great spaces to your single or basic single room right in your residence. So you don't have to leave the building to hang out and socialize with friends or have that group study. Yeah, so this is a great picture. Beautiful. I actually had a beautiful sunrise as I was walking over here this morning. This is a beautiful sunset. So that building right on the left of the photo is what I was mentioning with the 3-floored buildings. So we have 9 houses in Bartley. So this is an example of one of the 9 houses. So in addition to Bartley residence or dormitory style, we also have apartments and townhouses. So you can live on campus in Thunder Bay your entire time you're studying as a Lakehead student. In our townhouses and apartments, you can either apply as an individual and meet 3 new friends, or you can apply with friends and live together in the 4-bedroom unit. These are fully furnished. Again, Lakehead Thunder Bay, we're expecting you to come and make yourself at home, but we're not expecting you to bring your furniture. We provide it all for you, full kitchen for you, 4 bedrooms, and then you'll notice in the layout that the townhouse is split between 2 because it is a 2-floored building. So in the townhouse, you'll have all of your common spaces on the main floor and then the bedrooms upstairs, and your apartments are just a 1-floor layout. This is a great picture of that common space in the apartments. So the bedrooms would be just off of this living room. It's a full kitchen. We provide all of the hard cleaning supplies for you. So your vacuum, your mop, and your broom. Again, we really want you just to come and feel at home and just put those personal touches. We don't want you going out and having to provide furniture for you.
I mean, if you had to go out and provide your own furniture or purchase that, that would be a very large expense. So it's handy for sure to make sure that our residence team is providing all of that basic necessity furniture and amenities to our students. Now, correct me, in apartments and townhouses, they also, each room includes their own telephone, and they have wireless internet as well.
Yeah, so whether you're in a res hall room or a apartment or a townhouse, the room furniture itself is very similar. So you're not going to get a very different experience. You also will have a TV in your unit, in your apartment or your townhouse, which also has cable provided for you as well.
Awesome.
Another great thing is that we provide services. So if something happens to get broken while you're studying with us, or it needs just a little bit of maintenance or upkeep, we have a phenomenal maintenance staff here that's on call and works to best support you. So you don't have to go out and learn how to fix a stove or reach out and who do you contact to fix them. We have staff on call that can support you 24/7, and we can kind of problem solve for you. So we're taking away that extra step, and you can really focus on your studies. This is a picture of the townhouse. So the difference again is the 2 floors. You'll notice the stairs in the background of the photo. Same furniture as the apartment, it's just the different layout. So that's that television that's provided. This is full furnished. The kitchen is off to the right, and a beautiful sliding glass door.
So now we're gonna move on and talk about Orillia residence, and I'll pass that off to Patrick. He'll talk about the options in Orillia. And then lastly, we'll talk about the Lakehead George and Barry residence.
And so as you can see in that last photo, the Orillia residence is a 7-floor residence hall building. So on the first floor, there's some common spaces and some offices, and then floors 2 through 7 are all residence rooms. And you can see now a shot here of the residence hall single room. So again, it's a single room here at Lakehead University. The great thing about the Orillia residence halls is like Thunder Bay, you have all of your furniture provided. You have your own bed and desk and storage space, and your washroom is adjoining to just the unit beside you. So it's all adjoining. You share the shower and bathroom with just one other person, which is, I think, really cool. So again, in your room, it's a relatively new residence. You have your own room. You get your 4-piece bathroom attached. There are accessible rooms available, and you can see 2 photos there. One kind of the room itself, bed, workspace, mini fridge, and then one shot of the bathroom that's attached to the room. And so again, we have the full list of items that are provided to you by our residence team. And similar to Thunder Bay, it's the goal here is to have an inclusive and comprehensive list of items provided to you, so that when you move in, you don't need to go out and purchase a ton of furniture and other things. You just bring your own stuff and personal touches. We are providing internet, we are providing cable TV access, and your utilities and all of that. Yeah, so here's a great shot of the residence room. Double bed, you can see the closets in the background, and a large workspace for students. So in Orillia, Simcoe Hall, the residence, holds about 240 students. Like I said, it's a 7-story building. Each floor houses 41 students and has a common room or a lounge on the floor. And the lounges are great. They have big open space with a couple of couches, a TV, some cooking facilities that you can, cook a meal with your friends. And they also have laundry on each floor, which is awesome. And so there's a shot of the lounge there in Orillia.
So now we'll talk about the Lakehead Georgian residence. This is a partnership between Lakehead University and Georgian College. This residence specifically is on the Barrie campus at at Georgian College, pardon me. So for many of our programs with the partnership, you'll either be staying on campus and studying at the Barrie campus for the first 2 years, or in some cases all 4 years. But we'll dive into this residence option right now.
So similarly to the other rooms, it's a single room. And so that's a consistent theme across all of Lakehead's residences, whether you're in Thunder Bay, Orillia, or Barrie, is that you have your own room. The residences for the Lakehead Georgian programs are 2-bedroom suites, which means that there are 2 people who share a common space, a kitchenette, as well as a bathroom attached to the unit. So when you move into your Lakehead Georgian residence, again, we're providing pretty much a full comprehensive move-in ready furniture. You can see the full list of items there. And again, it's a great convenient place to live when you're going to your programs on the Barrie campus.
And another thing to note, again, across all of our campuses, all of our residence options on campus do include internet access, which is already priced into the overall cost, so you don't have to pay extra to have internet. And in today's age, and with our course material, you'll be typically connected to your course through some online medium. And obviously, we want you to stay connected with us on social and your family back home. So that's a huge point to always point out, to say, don't worry, we provide that for you. You don't have to worry about paying for that separately.
So these are shots of the rooms at the Barrie campus. So you can see big window, desk, bed, and a small bedside table there. And then this is the kitchenette. So the thing to note about the kitchenette is there's a full-size fridge and a microwave, but there's no stove. So students typically still have a meal plan through the Lakehead Georgian Partnership programs.
Awesome. So we will now be taking some questions, and you can use the Q&A function to submit those questions. We'll go over and we'll look at those right now. If you don't have questions right now in the live webinar, no worries. You can always send them to us after the fact. Our general email is welcome@lakeheadu.ca. So that is International's webinar, and we will be talking about, we will answer any general inquiries about your studies. So whether you have questions about residence or housing, or if something else comes to mind where you want to discuss different program options or degree options, that's our general email. So again, it's welcome@lakeheadu.ca. So I do see our first question. I'll pass that off to Patrick.
Yeah, so the question is, which is our best campus? And here at Lakehead, we we don't think in terms of best and worst. All three campuses are unique, and all three campuses offer different programs. So depending on your academic interest, it might dictate which campus you end up attending. That being said, our goal is to provide the same experience, whether it's through housing, whether it's through the academic quality of programming, student life across the entire university, whether you're here in Thunder Bay, where we are today, whether you're at our Orillia campus, or whether you're studying through the Lakehead Georgian Partnerships. We really want you to have the same experience, and that's really important to us.
Awesome. So thank you, Bobby, for the question. I see that you are curious to know what the costs or average costs of residence are. We'll actually be diving into the costs in the next slide. So I can't answer that specifically right now, but all the information will be on the screen in just a minute. So don't you worry, we'll get to it shortly. Another question we have is, are there residences available for master's and PhD students? So I'll pass it off to Michelle maybe, and she can answer.
Yeah, so for the Thunder Bay campus, our apartment and our townhouses are open for any and all students that are studying, whether you're here new to Lakehead and in your undergrad, or you're studying in a postgrad, PhD, or master's program. You are able to live on campus no matter what level you're studying at.
Yeah, I think that's really unique about our residences is that you can live on campus, even as a upper year student or a master's and PhD student. That's unique, I think, to one of the things about Lakehead.
Yeah.
So I do see a question in the chat, actually. It's about what campus is the MBA faculty. So our Master's of Business Administration is offered on our Thunder Bay campus. Our faculty business is actually AA CSB accredited. That accreditation just stands to the fact that our business program is renowned worldwide. Less than 5% of business schools in the world are awarded this designation. So it just speaks to the power of our professors and the course material that we do cover. We won't dive too much into any of the program information, just so that we can focus on housing and residence for this webinar. But I do encourage trying to follow up with us and connect with us, and we'll chat more about business. This is a good point to discuss the fact that in the next 2 weeks, we'll be doing faculty webinars. So next Tuesday, we'll be doing a webinar with the Faculty of Science and Environmental Studies. Next Thursday, we'll be discussing actually with the Faculty of Business Administration. And the following Tuesday, we'll be meeting with Faculty of Engineering. And we'll do a deep dive into all their programs offered. So I do encourage you to register for those webinars too.
So one of the questions we have in our Q&A is, do we do live tours? And at the end of this webinar, we'll actually have a link to our virtual campus tour. You can go to our website and take a tour of not just residents, but of the entire campus virtually from your tablet, phone, or laptop computer, from the comfort of your own couch, if you'd like. So yeah, we do offer the virtual tour.
We have another question that says, good morning, when is the application period / deadline for applications? I'm assuming that's an application maybe to a program. Unfortunately, the period and deadlines do vary quite significantly based on the program you're interested in. So to the student who submitted the question anonymously, I encourage you to actually submit it again, revealing your name, and then our team behind the scenes can connect with you and discuss what program you're interested in applying to, and then provide you the right details for that.
And then there's another question about the idea of maybe doing a physical tour to campus. And we do offer campus tours, and we do offer, as a part of that, residences included. Yeah. And if you're interested in doing that, just reach out to us ahead of time, and we will do our best and to accommodate when you're coming and set up a tour that kind of fits your academic interests, your social interests, as well as your, what housing options you might want to see.
And a good point to make about our tours, if you are able to make it to any one of our campuses, we try our best to make sure that you get the full range and full perspective of Lakehead University. So we'll actually arrange a residence tour. We'll do the entire campus, and then we'll also set up a meeting with our faculty members. So for example, if you were interested in the business program at Lakehead, we'll set up a meeting with one of the faculty members in business administration, so you can ask them directly all of your questions that might be outstanding.
So I see that, yeah, the question about the application is reworded geared towards the housing applications. So those will be open once you're accepted as a Lakehead student. And then from there, you can apply for housing. And then it typically closes in the summertime, or depending on when your acceptance is to Lakehead University. But you'll get more of that information once you've been accepted as a student here at Lakehead.
Awesome. So we have cleared up the Q&A. Keep submitting questions throughout the Q&A. Keep putting them up there. We will flip back to the presentation, but your questions won't disappear. We'll come back to them at the end, so don't worry. Otherwise, now we'll jump into that question that we were getting about residence costs. So I will pass it off to Patrick to discuss the cost.
So cost for residents can be broken down in a few ways. Here in Thunder Bay, because there are a few different options, the cost can vary, I think, a little bit. For a basic single or a single dorm room, you're looking at around 11,000 Canadian dollars, but that does include a meal plan.
Yes.
So that is really important, and
Yes.
we'll talk about meal plans, I think, in a bit.
Yep.
In on-campus apartments or townhouses are around 7,500 Canadian dollars, give or take. But you should know that those residence rates do not include a meal plan because you do have access to a full kitchen. And I think it's really important for students looking to cook for themselves to know that that's kind of the price of residence.
But we're going to talk meal plans, and if you're looking at coming as an apartment or a townhouse, we'll talk meal plan options for you as well. It's just not initially included in the price like Patrick mentioned.
Yeah, that's a good point. You still have access to the meal plans. I think that's a really important thing. So if you want the best of both, you can have that.
And something else to note is the prices or the costs listed on these slides are the current costs. So they are subject to change. Typically the costs don't change too dramatically, a few $100 maybe here or there. Prices will be released for the upcoming year very shortly. But right now these are for the current year. So I just want to note that they are subject to change. Next we'll talk about the Orillia campus costs.
Yeah, so in Orillia, because all of the rooms are single rooms and there are no apartments or townhouses, costs are fairly straightforward. There are two different meal plans. Either way, you're looking at between 12,000 and 13,000 Canadian dollars, depending on your meal plan choice in Orillia.
And we'll go into those meal plans like we mentioned and describe the difference between A or B. And the final residence cost is for Lakehead Georgian Berry. So this one again is straightforward. They have the one option on this campus, and that's roughly $7,500 Canadian, and that is for the entire academic term, which is September to April. If you were to do a summer stay in the summer, or if you are a student looking to continue your education throughout the summer, there are additional costs, but this is for your typical September to April.
Yeah, and the thing to note about that Lakehead Georgian residence rate is that's residence. The meal plan works a little bit differently on the Georgian campus, so it's important to know that that's just your housing cost, your residence cost.
Exactly, yeah. So now we'll talk about meal plans. Right off the bat, we'll cover Thunder Bay and Orillia, and I'll pass it off to Michelle, and then we'll talk about the Lakehead Georgian Berry campus.
So in Thunder Bay, like Patrick mentioned, for the price for res halls, it's already included for your meal plan. So it's an all-you-care-to-eat dining package. So you have unlimited access in res halls with the meal plan to our cafeteria, our residence cafeteria. You can enter it as many times or as little times per day. And then you also have a separate declining balance on your student card. So what that means is you have an additional $800 for the academic year that goes onto your student card and works like a debit or credit card. And it can work at any of our Airmark service provided food facilities on campus, and we'll go through the list of what that includes as well. And apartments and townhouses, if you looked and noticed in the price, it wasn't included in that. You are able to add on everything from some declining balance up until a full meal plan. So you have the flexible option of adding on just a little bit of declining balance and fully cooking for yourself, all the way up until eating the unlimited meal plan in the residence cafeteria.
And the flexibility with those plans is if you're living on residence hall, of course, it gives you more time to not stress or worry about having to cook the meal or prep your meal. You simply have to go to the residence cafeteria or use your declining balance at one of the Airmark providers, and just grab that meal, keep your studying, keep focusing on your academics and your social. With apartments and townhouses, this provides you the flexibility. So if you do feel ambitious and you want to cook all of your meals, and then you realize that it might be just too much to cook all your meals, or you want to focus on your studies, you can add on that meal plan after the fact, and you can start getting those meals either full-time, or like Michelle said, we have the smaller packages where you can eat a little less, and decide when you eat.
And if you're living in an apartment or townhouse, you won't be able to add that meal plan until you actually come to Lakehead. So res halls, it's already on your application and included in your fees. If you're looking at adding a meal plan in an apartment townhouse, you'll have to wait until you're in Thunder Bay, and then you can add it onto your account.
It's good to know.
So this is our residence dining hall slide with some information. So like I mentioned, it is all day dining, and with an additional $800 money that goes onto your student card. These declining balance can be used anywhere on the on campus that is an Airmark provided option. Some of the options in the residence cafeteria include perfect. So for food options, you'll see that we have the declining balance option. So these are where that $800 works in addition to access to the residence cafeteria. I like to talk a little bit about what the residence cafeteria includes for food options as well. So we have always a soup and salad bar. We have a build your own sandwich bar. We have a grill station. There's also generally a pasta station. So there's tons and tons of options. Food is not something that students worry about having too little of. There is a vast, wide variety of options. And if you know that you really want to bring a certain dish to Lakehead and you really want to bring some sort of food from home and incorporate it into our meal plan here, our food caterer Airmark is actually very open to working with students and including new menu options. So you really have a lot of say in your food choices here. And then on the screen, there is your $800 declining balance that works at all of these options as well. So it includes the Starbucks and Pizza. Persian Man is one of our local donut shops that provides coffee and donuts, and we have their products here on campus as well. So you can have some of our local donuts that Thunder Bay is known for called a Persian, and then there's also other options for coffee as well.
One thing I just want to add is that for our students coming from all over the world with maybe different dietary restrictions, vegetarians, vegans, halal, kosher, all of those different dietary options, our residence cafeteria team does a very good job at offering options at every meal for all of those different options. And it's really well signed. It's really simple to figure out, so you can know what's okay for you to have and what's, not meeting your dietary restrictions. Gluten-free, dairy-free. There's a big list of options now at the residence cafeteria.
So specific to meal plans in Orillia, all students living in the Orillia residence halls are automatically enrolled in that declining balance dollars for the meal plan. So they have two options on campus. They have the main cafeteria as well as the kiosk in the academic building. And the way that works is the money is loaded on to your card and you do have a declining balance. So different to Thunder Bay where you do have the all you can eat and you can go as many times as you would like, as well as the declining balance. In Orillia, you simply have a declining balance, and for each meal that you have, you're charged for that individual meal. And obviously, there is the option to top up funds, but both of our meal plans, whether you're a light eater or a heavy eater, they do provide plenty of options for you. So for our meal plans in Barrie, They are not mandatory, like Patrick had mentioned. The previous cost slide was only for housing. Students have the option of loading their one card, as Georgian College calls it. It's an all-in-one student card with funds to use at participating stores and restaurants on and off campus. So for example, some of the main options you have are Tim Hortons, the Marketplace Cafe, which includes a Subway, Pizza, as well as the main cafeteria, and then the Georgian Dining Room. So they provide similar options as we do, where it's your basic food, but you can also, splurge and get the Tim Hortons. That's actually a famous restaurant in Canada. I know it's growing internationally and it's becoming more recognized, but it's our typical place for coffee, donuts, morning treats, but then also throughout the day you can get some really amazing goodies too. So like Patrick had mentioned, cafeterias will accommodate all dietary restrictions and food allergies. So that includes halal, gluten-free, vegetarian, vegan, lactose-free, nut-free. And there's obviously more dietary restrictions. These are some of the most common ones and some of the ones that we're always questioned about. So we just wanted to put that out there. If you do have any questions or concerns, of course, I encourage you to reach out to us and we can look into that for you. But we have worked very closely with all of our food service providers on our campus to ensure that we can accommodate our students properly, of course. So we will jump into the second poll. So that poll will come onto your screen in just a second here. The question today is, which of the following best describes your plans for accommodations at university? The first option is, I plan on living in residence on campus. The second option is, I plan on living in off-campus accommodations. The third option is that general one. You might not be sure. You might be here today watching this to learn more. I don't know yet where I will be living while studying at Lakehead University. Any one of these options is fine. Don't feel pressured. Even the last option, if you're not yet sure if you're going to be living on campus with us or off campus in one of our cities, that's fine. We're here to help you make that decision and give you more information about the basics of accommodations. So we have quite a few votes for living on campus and a few other votes for I haven't decided yet. So we'll give it a few more minutes maybe to let the votes come in, and then we'll discuss the results after. Just got a few more votes for the I don't know yet. So that gives us a good idea that you're still looking at the options. You want us to explore the different options with you. I encourage anyone on this webinar to visit our website. If you visit lakeheadu.ca/housing, you can learn about all of our housing options, whether it be on the Thunder Bay or Orillia campus. If you are looking into the Lakehead Georgian Barrie campus, you will have to go on to lakeheadgeorgian.ca, and the housing options are listed on that website.
And if you are that, I don't know, please make sure you're asking those questions so we can kind of help give you those answers that you might be looking for.
Good point, yeah.
There's lots of information out there, for sure.
So I will wrap up the poll here. I plan on living in residence on campus was our most popular option, with more votes for the I don't know where I want to live yet. That's fine again, like Michelle mentioned. Making this decision to where you're going to live is a really important part of the university experience. So when you have the questions, send them our way. We're always happy to answer them and get back to you with more information. But we'll dive into the rest of it. I know we're going to be talking about residence life next, and as well as off campus at the end. Alrighty, so this is where I'll pass it off to Michelle. This is her forte. This is what she does. This is what she lives and breathes at Lakehead Thunder Bay. So she's the best person to talk about it. Of course, Michelle is the residence area coordinator. Her email is there. If you have any very specific questions, you can always feel free to reach out to her. Otherwise, some general questions, I encourage you to send it towards us at welcome@lakeheadu.ca.
Perfect. Thank you. Yeah, so we're going to talk all about residence life. This is my passion. I am excited to be here today to talk about it, so please ask all of the questions. So as I mentioned when we talk structure of the house, there are 2 residence life staff that live with you, whether you are living in a res hall or an apartment or a townhouse. So this is for the Thunder Bay campus specifically. In Orillia, you also will have a resident assistant and a house president too. They'll just be on your floor. So these are 2 staff that have lived at least 1 year in residence and are at least in their 2nd year of their studies. And they help make you feel at home right from day one. So they're helping right when you move onto campus. They're going to plan social events for you. They're going to help ensure safety and security, like Patrick mentioned. The resident assistants will talk about that a little bit coming up as well.
And another key thing to mention here is our HPs and RAs, because they are current students in these positions, whether they're in 2nd, 3rd, or 4th year, they're a really good resource for a new student to go and approach and ask some of the questions where you might feel maybe worried or intimidated to go up to one of your professors or, in your eyes, an adult to ask some of these questions. These people are meant to be your friends. They encourage that communication and that relationship. They're always looking to build and expand on it. Of course, you should never be worried about asking a question of anyone at Lakehead, whether it's a faculty member or a staff member. But if it is more comfortable to ask one of our HPs or RAs, these are current students that are close to your age. So they're a perfect resource for you too.
Well, and I think that's good to mention as well because they live right in-house with you. They also work on call on a basis. So like Jordan mentioned, sometimes you might have to wait to talk to a prof during their office hours or during the day. We have resident assistants that are available to chat with you about anything 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So it might not be your resident assistant living within your house, but on campus, we always have a resident assistant available to support you, which is
That's really awesome.
It's very reassuring knowing coming from so far away that you have 2 people living in your house that want you to be successful, they want you to build a community, and they really want you to feel at home.
And they have the tools to help do that, exactly.
Yeah. So like we mentioned, RAs, so they work to ensure that you have safety and security in the house. They are helping build that atmosphere. They do rounds of the buildings to ensure that facilities are being upkept, that you feel supported, and they do some more of our educational programming. So they do programs such as learning how to take your first university exam, and they might bring in some campus resources. They're really that middleman to bring in resources for you, whether it's our academic or our Student Success Center or our Student Central professionals. They will bring them into residence for you to run a program and help support you in the best way. You already have to learn so much coming to a new country, to a new school. So we are trying to take away the extra stress from you, and you can just kind of focus on being successful. And then these are some great activities that we have. Our house presidents are more geared towards that social aspect. So they've planned some of these activities that you see on the screen in front of you. We just had our residents semi-formal, which is a semester wrap-up that we do at the end of each academic semester. It was themed as a night in Greece, and we had some traditional Greek food. It was wonderful. We got to give out some of our awards for students that participate in activities, and then we had a blacklight dance after. So that's just an example of one of the things that happened this week, let alone throughout your entire studies here. So there's always activities going on. We have some students here, some from the GTA and some are local that are here for some tours, and we're also running a welcome hot chocolate station at our main front desk. So there is always activities going on. We know students come from far away to make this their home. So there's activities 7 days a week, not just on residence, not just with academics, but also you'll notice one of the photos is out at our local landmark, Kekabeka Falls. So we will also get you integrated into Thunder Bay community as well.
Awesome.
Beautiful photo here.
Yeah, exactly. So this is a photo from our Thunder Bay campus. This is Lake Tamblin. So at the heart of our campus, we actually have a lake and a river that flows through campus. In the winter, Once our security team says it's safe to skate on and the ice is thick, our residents' life, they often have different events on the lake. And in this picture, you'll see a group of folks playing hockey. There's always opportunities to be involved and be active on campus. I know you also have the res sports that goes on, and those are different sports, and there are a different variety of sports. It's not just the one sport that everyone wants. So you might have a passion for volleyball, or you might have a passion to learn how to skate in some cases. We always have different activities planned for you.
Yeah.
So here's another photo from the Outpost, which is the on-campus pub. So this is one of the busier nights, of course. We have live events and concerts hosted on campus in the Outpost. This pub is run by the Lakehead University Student Union. So the Student Union is an association that represents the student body on campus. And they have this pub as a space for people to unwind, get really good food. They just revamped their menu again. And it's absolutely amazing. It's one of my go-tos when I'm on lunch here at work. But it's also just a great time to connect with fellow students and the greater community of Thunder Bay, especially during some of those concerts and social events.
I think it's also important to note that it's within walking distance of your room.
Exactly.
Residents and the main campus classrooms or campus pub or eateries or residence cafeteria. Like Patrick mentioned at the beginning of the webinar, they're all within walking distance. There's no major street that you're crossing. You don't need to take a bus to transfer there. So you can go for lunch to the campus pub, or maybe it's a night out to a concert, and then you can just walk home knowing you're safe and secure. There's campus security that will be walking around. They can even walk with you to your residence, and our resident assistants do rounds as well. So you never have that alone feeling while you're here on campus, and you can participate in all of the perks that is on campus.
So here's another photo. This was actually during one of our celebrations for multiculturalism on campus. So it's a great way to get involved. We're always hosting major events for our current students to get involved. We have a very active Student Success Center. They recently just hosted an event called Festivus, which is a student appreciation event geared towards unwinding from the academics of university and just getting back to good old fun. They had activities, board games, arts and crafts, movies, free food. Everyone loves free food. I do specifically. I know they had hot chocolate, popcorn, hot coffees and teas. And it's also good to mention, like Michelle had said, Residence Life right now is actually hosting a make your own hot chocolate for all of residents. And then on our Thunder Bay campus today, we are having a preview day. So from students from around the region in Thunder Bay, as well maybe from the greater world, can be coming to our Thunder Bay campus and meeting with our faculty, meeting with our services and student areas. And that's just one of the ways that we are connecting with our future students to speak to Lakehead and what we can provide. So here's another good photo from orientation at our Orillia campus, just showing the school spirit and how excited we are to welcome our students. If you have any questions, of course, throw it in the Q&A, because I do know that the question period is coming up again. But first, we're going to talk about off-campus quickly. So I'll pass it off to Patrick to speak to off-campus.
So obviously, at any one of our campuses, you can live on or off campus. One of the great things about living on campus is the convenience and the all-inclusive pricing. However, for some students, there are reasons why living on campus just isn't going to be the best choice. And we understand that, and so I'm going to give you a brief overview of living off campus. The cost estimates, and they're estimates because it can be a little bit more varied when you live off campus, are between 8,000 and 9,600 Canadian dollars, and that's based off of an 8-month living period. And that's based off of a 2-bedroom apartment. Depending on where you are in Thunder Bay, in Orillia, or in Barrie, you might be renting a 1-bedroom apartment, a 2- or 3-bedroom apartment. Sometimes students rent houses and they split the cost of a house 4 or 5 ways. There's townhouses, there's duplexes. Some students rent the basement of a house and it's like a single unit apartment. So there are a bunch of different options. Depending on where you live, you might be 5 minutes or you might be 35 minutes away from campus. And we can point you in the right direction of where might be some neighborhoods that are close to campus or potentially on a major bus route that makes it easy to get here. But the important thing to note is that there's a lot of variables here, and it's good to do a lot of research before you commit to an off-campus housing situation.
In many situations, and from experience, I know that students typically will come to Lakehead University, do their studies in the first year and live on campus in residence.
Yeah.
And that's where you make your lifelong friends, you establish your connections, you make that friend group. And then oftentimes that friend group will either arrange housing on campus in the apartments and townhouses. So you and your 3 best friends can all live together still. Or in other cases, you and your other friends can find an entire house to rent. So that might be you and your 2 other friends can all live together, or you and your 6 other friends might all live together off campus. Like Patrick said, though, there are so many variables with living off campus. There's different areas of the city that are typically more expensive just because maybe they are close to downtown, or they have really good views, or they have really great access to nature. Of course, we want you to take all this into consideration. And that's why we still encourage you to come to Thunder Bay or come to Orillia, come to Barrie, live on campus for the first year, get situated in the city and learn about the city so you know what is going to be the best fit for you and your schedule, and provide you the best experience for university.
Yeah.
So for off-campus, if you are interested in off-campus housing in Orillia or Thunder Bay, you can go to lakeheadu.ca/international/future/housing. If you are interested in off-campus housing in Barrie, the Lakehead Georgian Partnership, you can go to georgiancollege.ca/housing. So we are back to another question period. We'll flip over to the Q&A and double check to see if we have any questions. Again, if you're watching this as a recording and you have a question, you can always follow up with us at welcome@lakeheadu.ca. That's our main email. Or you can simply comment on the video that you're watching, and we'll be sure to answer you as soon as possible. So we don't have any open questions right now. I do encourage you to submit them, and we will definitely be happy to answer them live.
Maybe while we're waiting for some questions to come in, we can talk about the opportunities to get involved. Because I think that's a good.
What I was thinking
Yeah. So Michelle, I know that there's lots of opportunities for students, especially in 2nd, 3rd, or 4th year, to get involved in residence. Do you want to talk about some of them?
Yeah, I mentioned the residence life staff that live with you. That's open to any student who has lived on campus, whether you're an international student, whether you're a domestic student. So if you join residence and Res Life looks like it's something that is of interest to you, you're welcome to come and apply to be a part of our team. If you are new to Lakehead and you're staying in residence, we also have some committees right on campus, so you can follow your passion, and we have a media committee, and you can join us and be a part of our residence life social media team. We have a sports committee. So Jordan mentioned we do some intramural sports that we organize house versus house, and as a student you can join and be a representative on that. We also have a sustainability committee, so if you're passionate about the environment, you can really start getting involved, and the list continues on and on. So right on residence, there's tons of opportunities that you don't have to leave your building to be a part of.
That's great.
Awesome. So we do have a question. The question was, can I work and pay for my studies for myself? So I'll answer this to specifically whether you can work while you're studying at Lakehead University. So as a full-time international student, you are eligible to work up to 20 hours per week during the academic school year and up to 40 hours a week in the summer if you're not enrolled in any classes. So not only can you earn money towards your studies, you will also gain valuable Canadian work experience, which will enhance your resume. So typically, visas and study permits will determine whether you're able to work only on campus or both on campus and off campus. We have seen a trend that typically students are getting the across the board, they can work on campus and off campus, but it's always something to make sure you are aware about when you get that study permit and get that visa. We want you to be fully aware of your abilities to work while studying. And we do have an in-house immigration officer who works for Lakehead University International, and she is always happy to work closely with you in getting more details. Alrighty, so we don't have any more questions, so I will move forward with the next few wrap-up slides. So we do have a few upcoming webinars. These are faculty-specific webinars. On December 10th at 9 a.m., which is a Tuesday, we will be meeting with Science and Environmental Studies and discussing the programs in that faculty. On December 12th, which is a Thursday, we'll be meeting with the Faculty of Business Administration, discussing their undergrad programs, grad programs, their unique learning opportunities, everything exciting to do with business on campus. And lastly, to cap off the year for webinars, we will be doing the Faculty of Engineering and discussing the programs in there, as well as all the options and unique learning opportunities, as well as success stories. These are just the 3 upcoming webinars for 2019. After the engineering webinar, shortly after, we do go into a holiday break for the entire university. And then starting in January, I'll be back. I'm sure Patrick will be back. I know Michelle will be back.
Yeah.
We'll be here. We'll be discussing future webinars and so many other topics. So make sure, again, that's why we do encourage you to stay connected with us and follow us on social media. So on Facebook, we're Lakehead University International. Instagram, we're Lakehead International. Twitter, we're Lakehead INTL. And we do have a YouTube channel for the entire university, which is just Lakehead University. Like Patrick had mentioned, if you're interested in taking a virtual tour, you can do so by visiting lakeheadu.ca/tours. Otherwise, that's it. And I do want to say thank you so much for joining us on today's webinar. We really appreciate all the questions, participation in the polls, and just the general participation. So thanks again, and I hope to see you at the next webinar.